So Andrew, we've been driving this car for a week and I wanted to love this thing. Like this was on my short list. But there are two specific things that make it really hard for me to want and more importantly to recommend. But this only goes for people who live in a cold climate.
What don't you love about it other than that? The fact that...
What do you mean? That's like a
range.
big problem. I live in Canada, you know, like,
Yeah.
Look, let's start it off like this. I understand EVs take a range hit when it gets really, really cold outside. Even ICE vehicles.
A range shit?
Not a range shit, a range hit when it's cold outside, okay? Even ICE vehicles take a range hit when it's cold outside. But, you know, the problem is this car doesn't have one thing that all EVs need to have, and that's a heat pump. Like a heat pump makes a massive difference. I mean, Tesla used to not have them on their cars. They put one in and it made a big difference. Like my Tesla, when it's super cold, like right now it's -9. We've been driving this in -15 Celsius. The range would get hit about 30% in the Tesla. This car is like 50% and over. Like you had a bad experience yesterday.
Yeah, let's talk about my little road trip yesterday. So we started at 100% fully charged. 417 kilometers was what we got out of full charge.
Yep.
It was freezing yesterday. It was -13 Celsius without the wind. So like in the 20s with. And the road trip was not a really big road trip. It was only 106 kilometers away.
Yeah,
so it was a 1 hour drive.
Yeah, so if you live in Ontario, if you know where Barrie is, they went to Horseshoe Valley, which is like an hour away.
Snow Valley.
Snow Valley, sorry, which is not far.
It took us an hour to get there. I was like, oh, 417 kilometers. This is great. We'll have so much range. Like this is just perfect for a short road trip. We get there and I had 225 kilometers left.
That's
so that
crazy.
was 50% of it gone right there, even though it was only 100 kilometers to get there. Then I was like, oh my God, how are we going to make it back? We're not going to make it back. I'm going to have to find a charging station and sit there with the kids while we wait for it to charge. Luckily, we did make it back. But
how many did you have left?
With only, it said 100 kilometers left.
When you got back?
But it only had like 30% charge.
30% charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if my car had 30% charge, I could drive easily 250 kilometers.
But I turned the car off, it said I had 100 left. Then I turned the car back on a few minutes later just to see, and it was 80 kilometers.
Yeah, so I mean...
it wasn't even 100.
So yeah, the car is readjusting based on
Yeah.
how much you're driving, the weather. Obviously EVs on the highway, it's not its strong point. Like it does better on city roads because you're constantly starting and stopping. But like, you know, like I don't want people to feel anxiety when they're driving somewhere. You know, yes, you can precondition
That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah, you were so anxious. You were calling, you were concerned. Like you can precondition your car, right? Like you have the car start a little bit earlier, warms up the batteries so that you have, you know, a better range when you're driving. But the fact that this car does not have a heat pump inside, it helps to precondition it, but it's not nearly as good as a car that does have an actual heat pump. The problem is, like, you know...
But aside from that, like you said, it's only an issue with people that live in a cold climate.
A cold climate.
If you don't have that issue, then would you recommend this car? I would 100% buy this car tomorrow if that wasn't an issue for me.
Like
I love everything about this car.
Like if you live in California, like if you live in a hot climate, then this car is amazing. Like I love this car, right? Like it's sporty.
The interior is beautiful.
The interior is nice. It's a Mustang, but I feel like it drives like a European car.
It's a great car.
The materials inside are very nice. You know, you have vegan leather.
We have different opinions about the seats.
Yeah, so the seats, this is me being me, you know? Totally nitpicking here, but like the seats are comfortable to sit on, but the back of the seat, like the inside of it is a little narrow. So like if you're jacked,
like you,
like me, okay, I'm not jacked, but if you're like, you know, a bigger guy like me,
yeah,
it can feel a little tight.
And I feel it's like probably one of the most comfortable seats.
Yeah, but again, this is me nitpicking here. Like most people
because
probably
I'm not jacked.
Happy with it. Well, you're pretty jacked for like anyways. But listen. You know, the steering wheel feels nice and solid. Like when you turn, you have that like stiff feel like you would on a BMW. It's a little bouncy on the suspension. It's not like the smoothest SUV I've driven, but it's definitely smoother than my Model 3, which is a 2022. But man, if you live in Canada, this is a hard recommendation. It really is.
Definitely.
And it breaks my heart because like, I love this car. Like I love it.
I love it too.
Like Apple CarPlay works perfectly when I get in. The one pedal driving is just as good as it was on the Ford F-150 when we drove that.
The 15.5 inch screen is beautiful.
It's great. Okay, here's a personal preference. What do you prefer? Vertical or portrait or landscape for the screen?
I prefer this one for sure.
Prefer portrait?
Yeah.
I feel like it's
Definitely.
easier to look at if you're the driver and it's
Yeah.
not facing you, because with the
And you have the little dial down here too, which the Tesla doesn't have. Everything is on the screen. This
Yeah, but-
actually has, you can control the heat right here, even though it's not a physical
Yeah,
button,
but you
it's still
can-
always there.
Yeah, but you can use widgets now with the
Yeah, but
Tesla.
that's
Put
really
it
annoying. I don't like that.
It's the same thing. I think that's a nitpick. But anyways,
I
everyone
like
has
the
their personal
screen. And I
preference.
and the Tesla does not have that little screen in front of the wheel, which this one has.
That should be standard in every car.
So
I like
I
having
love that
the,
as well.
the speed right in front of you.
Yeah.
But like, what else do you like about it? Like, it's comfortable. There's a lot of room for your glove compartment. You have tons of space here. You have like even a little cover back here that closes the glove compartment. That
I love how when you start your car, you just turn this little dial to go into, to switch gears.
Yeah.
I really like
cup
that.
holders are a little bit lower. They're a good size. They fit perfectly. You have massive wireless chargers, which is fantastic. And then
Yeah.
you have a couple of USB ports, one USB-A and the other one is Type-C. But even like the finishes, like there's a lot of
Finishes
plastic
are really
in here.
premium.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of plastic here like most cars, but like I do like the B&O
You keep going
stitching.
back to plastic. What is it supposed to be made of, Matt?
I want it to be made out of gold.
Like a Cybertruck?
No, I just
You want it
no,
to be
no,
metal?
I'm just giving the people an idea of what it
Plastic.
feels like to be inside of here.
Yeah, but that's what the cars are made of. But it's a premium material.
There's no such thing as premium plastic. Plastic is plastic.
There's cheap plastic and
No,
there's
no,
expensive
plastic. We can argue about
And
this
you
all
know
day.
what? It looks premium.
You
to
know
me.
what? Get out of the car. I'm driving.
You know what I don't like about
What?
the car? I don't think I would pick this two-tone.
No?
No. I don't like the seat color.
That's subjective, though.
Yeah, of course.
Like
it's,
people might like that. Like
yeah.
that. That's
no,
up
for
to the
sure.
person.
But I don't particularly love the two-tone. I
Yeah.
would pick either all black, including the seats,
yeah.
or like instead of a creamy seat, I'd have like a nice white.
Now, I just want to be clear. We are driving a 2023 Ford Mach-E. They haven't really announced a 2024 option, but Ford has hinted at some changes. Most of them are cosmetic. Specifically, they're adding like a lot of bronze to some of their performance packages, specifically for the GT lineup.
One of the main reasons why we're talking about this car is because this was on my list of top 3 cars that I'm considering
Yeah.
for next year. So I was considering this one, Model Y, and I
Ioniq
basically
5.
narrowed it down. Ioniq 5 is no longer on my list.
Okay.
So it's between the Model Y and this car. And there's so many similarities between the two, right?
So many similarities. They're the same length, like, or pretty close. 29.5 versus
One is
30.
185 inches and
Oh,
one
sorry,
is 187.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
they're almost the same. Cubic feet, cubes of storage in the back,
Cubic
same.
feet, yeah. That's what I was
30,
talking about. Yeah.
29, and 30. The frunk is actually really, really spacious in both cars.
Yeah.
They have about just under 5 cubes of storage in the front, both
Cubes?
of them.
What is this, like?
Cubic feet, cubes.
Is this slang? Are you talking like
Short form.
you're talking like you're a crip or a blood or
Cubes.
something? Like cubes, bro.
Less. It's easier to say.
Okay.
Cubes.
Cubes.
'Kay.
Cubes of sugar. Yeah, so they're very similar in a lot of ways, but I feel like
Yeah.
the interior, like when you're sitting in the back seat, it still feels a little bit more spacious in the Model Y. Look, I
Yeah.
don't want another Tesla. Like, I love my Model 3. It's not perfect. I can go on about the things I don't like. In fact, I've done a video about it already, which I'll place in the description below, but I wanted this car. I wanted this car so badly because I just love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. But man, my
And
heart
it's
was broken.
definitely more attractive. So this car, like I must say, driving this car, I turned way more heads than I would in a Model Y.
That's just because you're so hot, Andrea.
Exactly, that too. But even if I had tinted windows and nobody could see me, this car is more attractive. Like I had a lot of people looking at this car. It is a beautiful car. It's unique. It stands out. And it looks like a premium, expensive
Drives
car,
like a
right?
premium car, too.
It looks like an expensive car.
Yeah.
Like look at that pickup.
It's
right?
not bad, not bad. And look, if for those of you out there wondering how the back seat feels like it is spacious enough. It's the head space at the top is a little short if you're a taller person, especially at the sides,
You have a lot of
because
space there though.
because the roof slopes all the way
You have
back.
like half a foot above you.
If you're 6'2", your head's gonna be
No.
yes.
You have like at least 6
Not,
inches
I'm not
above your
talking
head
about
right
the
now.
front. I'm not talking about the front seat. I'm talking about the back
Even
seat.
in the back seat, it's the same height.
You're
Turn around.
you're short.
It's the same height.
Okay, she's blind. So,
It's not
anyways,
low.
if you're 6'2", you're not fitting there.
I don't agree.
You're gonna be smashing your head. all
Let's
over
go
the
get a
place.
6'2" person right now and put him back there.
I will just sit on phone books. Little space for your sunglasses, which I like to always mention because Andrew's obsessed with that. And of course, you
B&O
have
sound system.
B&O sound system. You have little buttons at the top for your garage, which is very handy. And-
which we do not have.
which we
so
do not have.
we have no
But
use
the
for
mirrors are actually a pretty good size. You know,
that.
like
What's
they're-
with you in the mirrors? Do
I-
you stare at yourself in the mirror
every day.
all day to point out the mirror size?
I need to
How
see
big do your mirrors need to be?
if I could have a
So you
full.
can stare at yourself?
If I could have a full mirror in front of me,
I don't get it.
I would have. I
Like-
would do it.
The mirrors are a good size.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of people who like to do their makeup in the car before work,
How big is the mirror gonna be?
and they like a good mirror.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. Mirrors are great.
And this actual visor is actually pretty big.
Yeah, it's huge.
And-
It's massive.
It slides all the way out,
Wow.
so you can block a lot of sun.
Yeah. And I can block. I wish I can turn it this way so I can just block you while I drive.
Oh, and I totally forgot about this. This is probably, and again, this is the tech side of me coming out. But I love the fact that you can use this car as a hotspot. Like if you go into the menus, there's the option to use the LTE connection as a hotspot so that if you have kids or you want to connect your iPads or whatever it is to the car to get internet, you can do it through this menu, whereas Tesla does not allow you to do that and you have to use your smartphone instead. So the big question, Andrea, would you buy this car?
Yes,
Why?
because I love it.
So you're okay with losing all the
Love
range
this car.
and then ending up in the middle of nowhere stranded with your children on the side of the road?
Aside from the range, I'd buy this car.
Exactly, aside from the range. So yeah, the bottom line is if you live in a cold climate, it's really hard to recommend, especially a country like Canada. But if you live somewhere warm, we absolutely love this car. Love it a lot. But yeah, I just can't do it in the cold. It should have a heat pump. Ford, just put a heat pump in the car, please. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to keep subscribing because, well, you can only subscribe once because we have a lot of electric car videos coming out week after week, and you guys don't want to miss it. Take care.